Knowledge don't work on the scene. No, they don't.
Alrighty, we are live. Back with
Yes,
episode.
today.
Is this 36? Yeah, I think I wrote episode
Yeah.
36.
Yep. That's what you wrote. Yep.
Yeah, Blizzrad. I did not make them work on that scene just because I like the music that I picked for it. But they should be working on all the this scene and then the next one. Shambhasa, no, this is not live. This is pre-recorded. You are talking to a figment of your imagination. Why you're imagining people with shiny foreheads, I
swear by my pretty floor bonnet, I will end you.
So I ended
Okay.
my stream to launch into a pre-recorded video. So technically, right now, I am just sitting on my couch or something.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Cool.
Yeah, you are watching yourself and watching people talk at you, talk with an apparition, a Nazeris AI. That's what it is.
Could you imagine recording this
You're
and
a
then
virtual.
talking about this time?
You're a virtual Nazeris AI programmed by Tony Nazeris. Yeah.
Tony Z Nazeris.
Yeah, Tony Nazeris. Alt Tracer, thanks for the donation to stackup.org. I very much appreciate you. That is awesome. I'm doing well. Nazeris, how are you, bud?
I am pretty good. I was really looking forward to getting into the game though tonight and working on my homestead. So
Nope, you have work to do, bud.
Tomorrow.
Actual work.
I know I have work to do. I agreed to this without actually reading the fine print.
Yep, you always read the
Nazeris AI
fine print.
With no silly hat. Yes, if you want the silly hat, you have to go into my stream and then do the whole funny hat button in the thing with the channel points.
Yep. I will get to work on that I'll add a channel point thing on mine too, just for Pathfinders, so that way we can have continuity. But actually, what you guys don't know is Nazeris is wearing a hat. That is actually a toupee. It is not his real hair. Nazeris is in fact bald like me. He just has a lumpy head, and so doesn't like to show it off.
No, my hair is one of the things that brought me out of the self-loathing, because it was the one thing that most people said looked good on me was my hair. So it's just like when I got fed up with just hating myself and everything about me, it's like I need to find something to not hate. I don't hate my hair.
You do have a beautiful head of hair. You have long, luscious locks. If we weren't so
a bit
far
longer
away,
than they should be right now, but yeah,
I would run my finger through them and make you super uncomfortable.
Most people have that reaction.
Yeah. There are lines that most people don't cross, and unfortunately, I cross them all the time, every time.
Well, we had CitizenCon.
Yep, at CitizenCon, I'll be drinking. Paul and I will be doing shots, and Nazeris will be like, "Oh God, can you stop? Leave my hair alone."
I'll be doing shots too, so I can cope.
Yeah.
But
yeah, this is
gin.
Ugh, God, heartburn. But yeah, this is the Pathfinders podcast. This is your first time coming and hanging out with us. We've got some new faces in chat, or at least this is the first time chatting. Maybe this is not your first time watching, and you were just lurking in the shadows before. But what Nazeris and I do, and this is Nazeris' brainchild that has grown and morphed over the past year. But we are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen and its development. Hence the Carrick intro. We're not Carrick fanboys, but it works for the theme.
Once we get better explorer ships and more fancy footage, then we'll put those at.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, Carrick is a ship, but it's not, as far as other ships go, not a great Pathfinder. If we could have that quality with the Terrapin, perfection.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'll have to explore some more. Maybe I can mix it up a little bit, but for now it works. And before we get started on the January monthly report, the last previous episode was for the combined November and December monthly reports. That was actually 2 weeks ago.
Reports.
Yeah. Well, and I'm an idiot, and I forgot to upload last episode to YouTube. I thought I had already done it, and then I went and I checked. I was like, oh, I had already edited and uploaded an older episode as part of the transfer process and put it up there. And I have a schedule settings. I think that way there's always a video coming out every other day because the algorithm seems to like that. And so I just uploaded it today. It'll be up tomorrow at noon. The November December combined monthly report, and then this one. So basically, for the next week, we're gonna have like a video going up every day. With, I think it's episode 9 is getting uploaded right now. The full thing just went up, as well as I think one segment, and then we had the November and December monthly report, and then this one will go up on, let's see, tomorrow's Tuesday.
We're gonna have we're gonna have 3 episodes in a row that are just reviewing CIG information.
Yeah, and boatloads of it, because November December was a big juicy fat monthly report. This January one is actually really good.
I have not had a chance to read through all of even the Star Citizen one because, again, busy.
Yep. What I have read,
the stuff I have read is just,
well, especially because January is somewhat of a short month, because a lot of the people only work 2 to 3 weeks out of the month due to the break, depending on when they started taking off in December. So a lot of interesting stuff getting worked on. But then the beginning of the year, Roadmap Roundup on the 8th, which is good because the way that Jake made it sound is that the meetings will have all been done and they're going to get all the additions in one big roadmap, instead of normally like the 3rd week of January and then over like a 3 or 4 week process they add them in with a
I thought you said there was going to be 2.
There might be 2. I don't know. Either way, it should be illuminating.
Very. Yeah, but it'll be nice after we're done with the roadmap update. Next week being a normal, like, we get to research something, Pathfinders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no idea what I'll be doing, but I want to get to a project already.
Yeah.
I don't know how you just turned your thing white.
Well, the stack up thing, whenever somebody makes a donation, or whenever, oh no, I know what it is. That's the goal. Goal refresh. There we go. That's what I want. Wrong thing.
Hey, you did it.
So yeah,
you have twitched.
I have twitched. Oh, I'm so out of practice. When Twitch emails you and they're like, "Hey, we've missed you," and I'm like, "Well, I've been busy. Sorry." But yeah,
you were
this
my
evening,
second job.
Yeah, this actually, it's like my 3rd. Well, if you count the contract things that I do teaching, oh man. Aether Drift, welcome back. Thanks for coming.
So you have your military job.
I'm a full-time civilian flight paramedic, and then I'm Army National Guard flight paramedic, and then I teach at a medical school for DO students, Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. And then I teach at a paramedic program as well.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then I volunteer for an organization called the Critical Care Transport Academy that I'm instructor faculty for. And then I also do blog writing and podcasting for critical care transport medicine with a group called Heavy Lies the Helmet. So yeah, I have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
You have like
I have a kid,
your family responsibilities, whether you want to split that into 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, how many series do you have going on your channel right now? 3, 4? Because you have Pathfinders, Admirals, and gameplay, right?
Yeah, I have Pathfinders, Armchair Admirals and Generals, and then I do Lore Eagles gameplay on my own. Yeah, so.
How do you have time to breathe?
This is why I drink.
This is why I drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like a Twitter hashtag.
Time management, and luckily my full-time job, there's a good amount of downtime intermixed with moments of terror and insane busyness. So I get to do a lot of reading and studying at work, which is, I think, my saving grace, because a lot of people, when they're actually at work, have to be productive like the entire time. And I'm on duty for 96 hours at a time with 8 hours on each end of travel, where I'm sitting in an airport or sitting in a plane, that I have to read. So
wow.
Yeah, that's when I do a lot of our, like, what we do for this, I do at work on the clock. It's kind of like the whole, boss makes $1, I make a dime. So that's why I poop on company time. Well, boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I research Star Citizen on company time. This is actually not a space beer. This is just an Alaskan Amber. I ran out of space beer. I went to the grocery store this afternoon to get stuff for dinner. I checked for space beer, and they did not have the space beer. I was sad, and I drank the last two, the last podcast. So this is just an amber, but it's cold and delicious.
Completely crooked. No, it's that way. Trying to adjust it watching the stream is.
Shampasta space beer is whenever I podcast about Star Citizen, and really whenever I stream space games, which is like Star Citizen, or if I'm doing gameplay stuff on other space games, I like to drink space themed beer and then introduce what I'm drinking at the beginning of the stream, show off the can. And so there's this one brand, and I completely forgot the name of the brewery, but all their beers are astronomy themed,
astronautical,
or space themed. Yeah. Like one's Pulsar, the other one's Ice Giant, something's, I think there's a laser one, I forget. Yeah. But this evening we are going to be going through the combined Squadron 42 and PU monthly report for January. So let's get into it, and because I'm sure we're going to get on plenty of tangents along the way. And I'm going to pull that up. I wish I could.
As we go and start reorganizing all of our windows.
Yeah. And we're going to transition to the other screen, so that way you guys can follow along and see what we're reading. We have a combined document. What Nazeris does is he takes all the things from the 2 monthly reports and correlates them into one document. So how sometimes they have the same thing for a team on both monthly reports because it's shared information. And that way we don't, we're literally reading both monthly reports as they go down, but we're not rereading the same thing over again if it's a shared thing between a team. So I'm going to pull that up, but first we need to switch over to the other scene with our viewing window in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da. And so what I'll be doing is, as we're going down through our shared document, I'll be going back and forth between the PU monthly report and the Squadron 42 monthly report. So that way you guys, if you're following along at home, and you're reading on a different tab or something like that, you can be a part of the conversation and see what it is that we're reading about, and that Nazeris and I aren't just making stuff up and pulling things out of our butts. So Nazeris,
that's the best part.
Yeah. As you like to do, why don't you start us off with reading the prologue, preamble, whatever you want to call it.
And it lined up this time because you have the first bit. Instead of me doing the intro and then the first paragraph. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So on the PU monthly report side, January 2023. Welcome to January's PU monthly report. Although the upcoming patch is still being tested and tweaked in the persistent universe, which is inconsistent technically, it's been called the public test universe, and here it's being called the persistent tech universe. Don't worry, there's another inconsistency coming. We'll get into that in a second. Most teams began the year moving on from their work on Alpha 3.18. From extensive AI updates to new vehicles, locations, and features, re-on for everything done in pursuit of 2023's extensive content schedule. So, in here it says, most teams have began moving on from their work on 3.18. In the, I think it's, in the This Week in Star Citizen, it says that while a large number of devs or something, like some fuller amount of the company is working on 318. This says otherwise, so it's interesting. On the Squadron 42 side, it says, "Welcome to January's Squadron 42, January's Squadron 42 development report." Words, man. Included, you'll find details on the latest progress made across the campaign, including enemy perception, updates on the star map, and narrative development. Thank you for your continued support for Squadron 42, CIG Communications. There you go.
All
so
right.
it is you with AI content to start us off.
On the Squadron 42 side. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So over here. All right. So, and I'm going to be looking, if you see me looking over to my right, I'm not only looking at Nazeris and admiring his beautiful head of hair, but that is my second screen, which actually has our shared document on it. So that's what I'll be reading off of. So the AI content team began 2023 focusing on behaviors used in the Stanton location. Okay. First sentence, and I'm already gonna be get a little bit distracted. The AI content team began 2023.
Oh wait! I just realized what that meant.
Oh, the ship.
No, maybe, possibly. Maybe. However, this is the Squadron 482 monthly report. No, I'm pretty sure that's not the Stanton ship. Because that's an interest. They wouldn't say location.
That's what I think.
This is Squadron 482 animation or AI content working in Stanton. Is Stanton in the Squadron?
I don't know. It's a gosh.
What? Who knows at this point? We just become best friends? Yep.
Axis just subscribed for 2 months. Thank you very much.
Research needs to be done. When Squadron's only like 100 years, right?
Yeah. Before we continue, did the sound a little? It played on my screen. Did you guys hear the audio? Did that all work? Did I fix it? It's not playing double. Let me know in chat. Yeah, so that is interesting. I think you're right. I think they are talking about Stanton the system, and like there might be a scene in Stanton, or scenes or a short chapter or whatever in Squadron 42. That could totally make sense. It just, it definitely would seem weird for them to call it the location when it's a ship, and we all know it's a ship. But anyway, so this involved regular reviews and playthroughs to detect and fix issues, looking closely at the chow line and eat and drink behaviors. So, but that part, the chow line and eat and drink behaviors, that sounds like what they've been doing on the ship. So that it could go back and forth. It is a little bit nebulous.
Unless it's talking about a restaurant in Stanton. Because remember, the chow line behavior is a behavior. It's the big overarching thing that is the animations, the things that they do, and the usables that NPCs interact with. Could be expanded into restaurant patrons.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I can tell, Squadron, and I just lost where it said, is sometime in the 2900s.
It's 2945 is when...
Yeah, 2945, that sounds right.
The attack of Vega happens, and then shortly thereafter is Operation Mandrake in Oberon. So...
All right, and then Stanton was found way back in 2851, so plenty of time elapsed, so Squadron could have scenes in Stanton.
Yep. So the team also created a solid foundation of Maya character rigs that correctly match their in-game counterparts, allowing them to properly investigate and fix numerous problems. Huh. Interesting. Time was also spent reviewing areas with 100% correct prop interaction, which was very satisfying to see. Oh, okay, so that's really cool. They're able to look and, with areas in the game where all the props are no longer placeholders and they've all been implemented, and the AI are actually utilizing them appropriately. And so they're just basically reviewing that to make sure everything looks and runs smooth. So it's good to hear. The team also began enabling characters to sit in different styles of seats while drinking and polish animations for the medical cupboard and fuse crate interactions.
Nice.
Okay. So fuse crate, as in like the fuses. You're taking them out of the crate and putting into them into the like the relays,
Mm-hmm.
and fuse boxes. Lastly, they continue to refine and improve the hygiene and medical behaviors. Looking forward to seeing the medical behaviors for sure. I wonder what all is going to be included in hygiene. Yeah, if you watch the Astropub, you'll know what I'm talking about. And that is it for AI content on the Squadron 42 side. So over to you for AI features on the PU
Alright.
side.
So before both in chat and YouTube start going off on different seeing styles when the NPCs in the game don't sit now, that's on servers. In Squadron, I'm sure that all their NPCs sit fine. It is only because of server instability that we have NPCs sitting on chairs and walking in place and trying their best to audition for Michael Jackson videos. Anyway,
Yeah, that is because
AI
the
features.
NPCs stream in and out off the server,
A-
and so
And
the
tick rate has a big impact on
oh yes,
how clean the simulation is, and it's bad currently. It's really bad.
Yeah.
All right. In AI feature, the AI feature team started the year enabling AI characters to throw grenades. Oh boy. This involved work
We're
in
doomed.
multiple areas. I was doomed already. This is nothing new. Including new logic for when to throw grenades to ensure a challenge without overwhelming the player. Parabola including collision checking to ensure the grenade lands correctly, and the animation so that the AI looks correctly when throwing. Great. So they'll look great while throwing grenades at me, and I will just die anyway. It's fine. January also saw the implementation of attack and defend areas, which can be assigned to AI characters to direct and control fighting in specific ways. On the most basic level, the defend area limits where NPCs are positioned when fighting, whereas the attack area limits where they target. When assigned either area, NPCs will prepare to fight by equipping their weapons and taking ready stances before moving to the area on high alert. So perception happens quickly, and perception reactions are skipped. When defending, AI will move to a cover point inside the area and defensively peek out. When attacking, they will use the existing investigation behavior to search for hostile forces. So basically pulling a whole bunch of strings to make a new thing, especially using investigation in the attacking thing. So the behavior was already there. They're just like, here's an application for it. And that's why they're making behaviors, because they can then take it and apply it in various ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then a quote from the AI team says the attack area is great for building pressure on the player, whereas the defend area can provide the player with a tough challenge as AI are hunkered down and ready to fight. The implementation of these features involves reusing existing systems in new ways, challenging the tactical queries, position, and targeting selection to take into consideration the attack or defend areas that the AI may have. Quote from the AI team. And that is it for AI feature. So, no, I screwed up the thing.
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh,
Do you want to go by what's on the document? Or...
How do I not screw this up? I'm trying to figure out how there's nowhere good to unscrew this up. We're just going to go with what's in the document so we can not screw the rest up. So we're just going to split it up. You get the squadron side.
Okay. So you just did AI features for the PU. So I'm doing AI features for Squadron.
Yep.
Okay. So for Squadron 42, the AI feature team started the year enabling AI characters to... Wait a minute. Oh, okay. That's the problem.
Oh, is it like a paragraph cut out?
There we go. Yep. So
yeah, okay. I need to find a way to denote that.
I see what you did. Yep. No worries. So the AI team continued to... Oh, yeah, I wasn't even reading off the sheet. The right sheet. The AI team continued to develop the AI for a non-humanoid character. So humanoid meaning bipedal, stands upright, 2 arms, 2 legs. So basically all these sentient species, the spacefaring sentient species in game that we have now. So a non-humanoid character. But it's interesting that they call it a character and not a creature this time. That's interesting. I think they probably are referring to the creature work that they've been doing. They've been talking about in the Squadron 42 monthly reports for a while now, but I could be wrong. Including work on group behaviors and attack patterns. So it sounds, very much like they're talking about NPC creatures and especially like a pack animal. And if you remember, Nazeris, and you've showed it off a couple times. I think it was you. The sort of angry, bitey dog-like creature that the Vandal keep as pets.
Armored Vandal dog, yeah.
Yeah, but it could be something different, so we don't know.
And in my experience with game development, character can refer to basically any moving NPC. So it's not unheard of that they're just calling it character because it's an NPC-like thing.
Yep. Let's see. They also began developing character animations that evoke the real-world creature the creature is modeled after. Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's the other dog or the cow. Which one you want?
Is it a wolf? Yeah. For example, as the creature fights in packs using melee attacks, the team must consider behaviors that space out the character movements in a natural way, partly so that the player doesn't get overwhelmed, but also so that the characters don't collide with one another when attacking. Certain sections of Squadron 42 include AI fighting alongside the player, known as Buddy AI.
Good.
Last month, the team developed functionality to control how the buddy plays in these sections, including following behind the player, moving to interest points, and seeking cover. For choosing points to follow behind the player, the team creates a raycast along with a navigation mesh to ensure the point is reachable from the leader and that they can move forward without obstruction. Back to you for AI tech on the
PU side.
That whole one must be shared then.
All right. Last year, AI Tech completed the first iteration of the NPC driving ground vehicles. Last month, they fixed several related bugs as more designers began using the feature, which means we're getting it soon. If it's going wide to many designers, it means that many designers are working with it to implement it. Maybe 3.19, maybe 4.0. They also progressed with features that enable NPCs to use the transit system, like elevators, and move between platforms. This time, they are focused on NPCs using trains to move between locations. This requires exposing new
I gotta go grab some Sudafed. I'm super congested.
Oof. All right. Let's see, where were we? Between platforms, this time they are focused on NPCs using trains to move between locations. This requires exposing new functionality on the transit manager and more complex behaviors before and during transit. New functionality includes providing more information about the gateways at specific destinations and information about the carriage or about carriages such as time spent at destination and time until arrival. So pretty soon we'll actually get commuting NPCs. Super hyped for that. We'll feel much more alive than we have idling NPCs around the platform and then nobody ever on the train. Kind of creepy. On the locomotion side, the team added further support for soft stops and separated them from harsh stops. A soft stop means that the NPC will choose the best animation for stopping, even if it will overshoot its destination, while a harsh stop will attempt to stop immediately. Locomotion support was also given for bug fixing an alien creature movement and alien creature movement. Yeah, sure, that's a sentence. For the Subsumption Apollo tool, the team progressed with implementing feedback and bug fixing. So the Subsumption Apollo is a UI to edit subsumption behaviors with, and it has been being used by many designers, and so this is feedback on it from those designers and bug fixing just like any tool needs. They also added new functionality to the subsumption master graph, so this is the thing that is edited by Apollo, making it possible to have functionality or functions on top of transitions to determine whether a state transition can be done. The usable coordinator was also completed, which allows the designers to specify a section of a usable for NPCs in specific areas and prioritize the order of selection. Very fun. Lots of scheduling, lots of making sure that they have things and the NPCs know what to do with the thing and also do the thing with the items or whatever the interaction is. Usable is as like very far-reaching archetype. Let's see. The feature that allows NPCs to perceive threats through audio and visual stimuli and react to hostile vehicles was completed. Nice. In a related area, further updates were made to the behavior that enables NPCs reacting to stimuli to enter combat. Basically, this means they're gonna start shooting at your ship when you show up to hostile areas. When that actually is in and not just done is yet to be seen. I guess we'll keep it on the roadmap for that one. AI Tech started work on 2 new features. One allows overrides for navigation mesh generation, so that the team can create navigation meshes for specific agents in narrow areas. For example, this will enable NPCs to traverse areas where only a crouch state is possible, such as cave, such as vents and underfloor areas. As far as I know, the only underfloor area we have is the MSR. I don't know of any other places.
Did they specifically say ships or?
No, this is all nav mesh. So wherever they want to put a nav mesh.
Well, it's shared between Squadron 42 and the PU. I mean, there could, I would be. Well, remember the outposts from
Yep.
Citizen Con, and I think they said they were doing that kind of thing for space stations as well, like crawl spaces and such.
Team Jeffrey's tubes all the way. Nice. The second feature enables the team to mark areas with increased navigation costs, which will influence the path chosen by NPCs. This will be used to create areas that NPCs should avoid, like areas with fire, or encourage them to travel on specific areas, like sidewalks. And by cost, they mean a NPC perceived cost, as in walking through marsh will take me more time than walking on this path kind of thing. Not cost as in CPU or cost of development or something like that. Specifically cost or immaterial cost to the NPC. They also supported 318 and allocated time to check that to update some of the AI system's functionalities. So now we're finally on the track again, and we get to go back to you with AI vehicle feature.
And is that shared?
As both.
Okay, we'll read it on this side. So you read about the Apollo subsumption tool, and that had gotten mentioned, I think, both in the last monthly report, but the previous one as well. And so, because it's subsumption, the subsumption AI, which is the AI that the NPCs that you see in game, not yet, they aren't using subsumption tech yet, but at least I don't think so. But when NPCs and AI are physicalized, they use subsumption logic, and then when a player is not around, and those subsumption NPCs don't want to be tracked by the server, they go back into what's called an ethereal state, where they continue to execute logic without all the complex rendering and navigation decision making and stuff like that, collision, all that. They're a lot more lightweight, so they continue to be run on the back end via the quantum simulation as virtual NPCs. And so when Nazeris and I saw, a subsumption tool, that's interesting. Well, It's the fact that they're making a tool for working on subsumption AI is a very good thing. But we're like, we've never heard of this. What is this? And so we tagged Disco Lando on Twitter, Jared Huckabee, and we're like, hey, read about these in the monthly report, haven't heard about them prior. Is there any way you can shine some light onto what the Apollo subsumption tool is? And he brought it up on SCL this last week. He's like, hey, I got tagged on Twitter, ask about tools. And, I was like, I don't know what the Apollo subsumption tool is. And I asked the AI guys, and they told them that, it's just a GUI. And it kind of downplayed it, but it's a GUI, graphic user interface, that allows the AI people to work on subsumption AI in the game editor itself. They don't have to open up something else in order to work on an AI that is being utilized in the game editor, in game itself. And so it basically helps with their workflow a ton by not having to open up a separate program to tie into something. It's it's just right there in front of them.
It's the AI equivalent of raster.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a fancy tool that lets them build subsumption AI and work on subsumption AI in the game engine, essentially.
And I'd even venture to guess that it's not just for the AI developers, but also for designers to more easily interact with subsumption. That way they can design things and not have to call an AI person over every time they want the NPC to do something. Because that's most of what CIG, when they make tools, are trying to do. Because designers, as far as game development goes, are the people who come up with how things should work and how things should look. It's only because that they are not savants and can't do art and code and tech art and effects and engine work and everything else is why games are made by hundreds of thousands of people, because the 20 designers you have can't do everything. If we had, let's say 50 years in the future, AI systems that can do everything, everyone who wants to build games is a designer at that point. And everyone who does art can also be a designer, and everyone who does programming can also be a designer. And it basically, the tools that CIG makes is to enable their designers to do the work that they've thought of and designed themselves. So it is always a good thing to have more tools in the sense that CIG makes them.
Mm-hmm. So AI vehicle features spans both the PU and Squadron 42. For the PU aspect of it, the PU vehicle features for AI, that team focused on space combat AI improvements in January. The intent is to have combat AI, behave in a more dynamic way that encourages players to move and explore the various ship mechanics. This involved breaking the AI into different well-defined trees, which will help players to identify what kind of enemies they're up against. These improvements also allow the easier integration of more maneuvers to further increase the skill level and interest of higher level ships. Ooh. Similarly, AI vehicle features worked on a new behavior logic to deliver improved atmospheric flight combat. This is intended to work with the control surface feature being developed by the vehicle feature team, and will lead to AI ships tailing and chasing players to get behind them, flying more like a plane when appropriate. That's awesome that they're already, the vehicle feature team is not, they're working on these things in parallel. They're making it so that way our ships that are shaped more like planes will have the ability to fly more like planes in atmosphere. This has a lot of interesting benefits because at certain speeds, the ship will automatically either reduce or turn off maneuvering thrusters for generating lift, because the wings are generating enough lift and you have enough maneuverability from control surfaces, and then re-engage those things based off of need, due to how fast you're going. Well, they're also making it so that way the AI will be able to use those things and fly ships in atmosphere like planes, just like players do, to take advantage of that. You can imagine, how your power usage, if you're not using thrusters for maneuvering and for generating lift, how that power usage might go down and reduce your signature. there's ways you can maneuver, using control surfaces that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with just thrusters alone. So it'll be really interesting to see how that all pans out. And I like that they're working on these things in tandem, so that way when players can start to fly like this, they'll also run into AI that are flying in this manner as well.
Something that actually stuck out to me, which didn't stick out because I did read at least this far, was the baking in the different well-defined trees. And we've seen as the game developed, like either one patch like NPC will just run into like a jousting mode, or they'll just spam missiles all day and not actually do any combat. Those are going to be trees now, and there'll be like NPCs that want to use missiles more, NPCs that want to get closer, NPCs that want to try and engage them farther, NPCs that want to like they're going to split up the kinds of attacks into these behavior trees, so that instead of them randomly balancing in or out in each different patch, every patch will have NPCs that have all these different behaviors in them, so that when they do engage, when a player does engage with the NPCs, that they can learn what kind of NPC, what is their combat style, and then to be able to learn to counter that.
Yeah, how does this particular NPC want to fight? What is what is their affinity for different tactics? Yeah, essentially. Yep.
And if it's a missile spam, run. Just run.
Yeah. So for AI vehicle features on the Squadron 42 side, looks like it's just this last sentence. They also supported the flight designers on several chapters, adding new, smaller features to ease their work when creating mission flow. Several flow block issues were fixed as well, or were fixed too. Back to you for animation on the PU side. We'll start over here and then to the Squadron 42 side.
Yep. So just one sentence on the Star Citizen side. Alongside embedded work for the various feature teams, facial animations were developed for emotions and background characters such as female vendors. That'll be nice flavor to the universe. And on the Squadron 42 side, the animation team began 2023 by making sure their schedules for reaching content complete was agreed upon, which meant aligning closely with downstream teams. Going to read it all again. The animation team began 2023 by making sure their schedule for reaching content complete was agreed upon, which meant aligning closely with the up and downstream teams. Animation teams now have their schedule to finish their work on Squadron 42, Episode 1, which means they had to work with the upstream and downstream teams, the teams that only get their schedule for the roadmap 1 quarter out. I'm not saying Squadron is 1 quarter out. I'm saying they at least have a framework of all the work needed to do for at least animation, but probably more teams, to be content complete. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
It may be a slightly less big deal than I think it is, but it's a really big deal.
It's animation, but at the same time, it's animation and it's content complete, and they were figuring out what they needed for their side to be content complete by talking to the other teams, both up and down.
Which means
so
no other teams need work from them. Tree can't hear you, but can read how long you guys on. We have been going for about an hour, and we'll be going till we run out of monthly report.
Is my mic not working? Ender. Can you hear me now, Ender? I can see my little volume thing is going up and down.
Yeah, I can hear you on stream.
Hello. Should be working. I apologize if there's an audio issue.
At least 1-2 more hours. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Okay, good. Both. Making sure.
We're gonna blame chat if anything was wrong, because that's how that works.
Yep. Yeah. This will probably go on for at least another hour and a half or so, as we go on little tangents on different things. But yeah, that's a big deal, because like if they are able to see the schedule of an upstream team that has their schedule like a year out, and they're already planning for that, to know that, okay, based off what these people need a year out. We know what we need to do, out that far. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, it's the 2 years out, Squadron 2 years out thing
And
is
content complete does not mean
done.
Does not mean, gold standard ready to ship.
Right.
It just means that everything is in there. There's still polish work to do, but when things are content complete, that means you're in the polishing phase. That means you've got like a year left.
Right. So the idea that Squadron is 2 years out kind of has a lot of solidity this year.
A lot more merit to it.
Yeah, a lot more. That's a good word. A lot more merit. So I will be very closely following Squadron this year. Not that I don't follow it any other year, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Development-wise, further progress was made on Zero-G, with the devs using some of the lessons learned to help guide work on prone gameplay. Okay. They also continued to create new weapons and gadgets, including a trip mine, and worked on restraining and unrestraining. I think we heard something about a bounty hunting device in the other month report, didn't we?
Like the November, December?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah. Let's see. Animation's AI team further developed the Vanduul execution and search behaviors. Along with the female Spec Op characters, they are also currently working on AI background animations related to eating and drinking, sickness, hygiene, and cargo for social areas. This is all the Squadron side stuff. On the facial side, the Chakma character?
I know that is the first that I've read that. So I'm as confused as you.
Worked on alongside lines for AI character combat. The mocap team worked with gameplay animations to schedule an upcoming shoot to keep the AI and player teams supplied with assets. Now, what on earth is that word?
Is that the name of a character?
A tribal group from
Duncan Chakma is a master of arms on the UES Stanton in 2946. He appears in Squadron 42 operating the armory in the vertical slice. He's the guy who gives you your weapons during the vertical slice.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot more sense than a Southeastern Asian tribe. Okay. Weird decide on the name there, but sure. And we are back to you with art characters.
Whenever they bring up female Spec Ops, it makes me think of oh gosh, I can't remember the character's name from The Expanse, but the female Martian Marine. And I'm like, oh man, the
defector person?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I assume that they're talking about the advocacy agent. I'm terrible with names, but I really hope we get like some Amazon, super badass Amazon UE Marine, female character in Squadron 42.
I mean, depending on how early we meet the advocacy agent, she might be like a more central character as the story goes on. Like, assuming that the whole Odin thing is at the beginning. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what I would assume it is, because we're not dealing with Vanduul yet. I assume what happens is the Vanduul comes in near the end of episode 1. And episode 2, you're kind of stuck in the trenches with the Vanduul. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the entirety of what I think is going to happen. Anyway, but she could definitely be a recurring character as you go about the intricacies of local life in Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's been there. She's a researcher. She was there monitoring this entire base. And she's like, yeah, I messed up. Sure, give me the drugs. Let's go on. I'm not letting you fight your way out without me. So, yeah.
Yeah, how do we keep on bumping into each other?
Yeah. Just like, these are terrorists. What are you doing here? Gathering data. They're criminals. So that one like cop that doesn't put the work down that she should because the job is way too big for the entire department. Yeah, that person. That's what I think she is.
Alrighty. So for character art for the PU, in January, the character art team began production of the Frontier environmental wear costumes and polished the Frontier undersuit. All right, so not they're done with concept arting, and now they're producing all these different articles of clothing for the Frontier wear.
Where are we at?
And the Frontier undersuit. Character concept progressed with concept exploration for the Rough and Ready gang. Oh, I don't think we've heard of them. I'm not familiar with that name. Fauna. So more concept for Fauna. And the Dusters faction. We're aware of the Dusters, but I don't think we've ever seen them FPS wise. So we're finally, we're going to be seeing them in person, in the not too distant future.
How did the Rough and Ready gang get art before they had character concepts?
Well, that's what they say. Progress with concept exploration.
Right, but they've had art already in the game, not as characters, but as spray paint.
Rough and Ready?
There's R&R all over all the stations in Pyro.
Oh. There you go.
Now we know why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm like, what? Are they trying to like, oh, we don't need Stanton. We have our own rest and relaxation. No, it's these guys.
Yeah.
They're marking their territory.
Uh-huh.
Which, that's something that they haven't said. Will the art dynamically change depending on the politics in Pyro?
I think that's definitely going to be a thing.
Because they said they've wanted dynamic trash around for a while, like start of the social module while. So having Pyro be a ever-changing political landscape, depending on who owns what, changing the graffiti that's around may be a really cool way to start introducing dynamic environments.
I want a mission to gain rep with a faction. Be like, hey, we just took over this area. We need you to go tag it with our sign. like you're an initiate in a gang, and they just toss you like, futuristic can of spray paint, with a stencil, and you just need to go. So there.
Didn't I feel like Need for Speed. One of the Need for Speeds had something like that. I feel like it was a Need for Speed. There was something like one like Need for Speed like tier games. Had a like gang related go tag an area kind of thing. I forget what game it was, but I think it might have been a Need for Speed. Where are we at?
Ship art for you.
Ah, cool. In the UK, the art team continued to work on the small ship. Oh, sorry, the small ship mentioned in last month's report, with certain elements reaching LOD 0 complete, which is before final art. They also began exploring ideas for a variant, I assume, of that small ship, but just a random sentence. So LOD complete in the grand scheme of things, for those who don't know, it is before final art, which is before the LOD and damage passes, which is before final art, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they have basically the highest quality model. They now need to not make it high quality so it can actually be used as a game asset, because we're not running nanite over here.
Well, and it can't. You can't have LOD 0 at 3 kilometers. It has to be able to scale.
Yeah, and you can't have LOD 0 ships at like a billion of them or tens of thousands of them landing on a planet. Not gonna work. Not gonna work at all. Basically, if you were to like stand at a wall, that's LOD 0.
Mm-hmm.
That falls off pretty considerably when you start stepping away. Like even the third-person camera can activate LOD 1. And I actually saw some of that on 2 nights ago stream, I think. The Argo SRV progressed through final art. Final polish is currently underway on the exterior before the LOD and damage passes begin. So there we go. That's our map. It's LOD 0, then polish before LOD, polish on the exterior, polish on the LODs, then damage passes is how it all works in. The interior continued through final art and received a LED pass. So yes, final art, then LEDs. Cool. So yeah, definitely SRV for 319.
Yeah, I'm
Development
calling
on
it before Wednesday. That 319 is vehicle tractor beams, SRV.
Yeah, vehicle tractor beam, whatever other vehicle we're getting. I think it's a wheeled vehicle for some reason.
Well, I know of one, but I'm not at liberty to say. But
oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot. I need to make a video about what's coming in 319 before Wednesday, which means I need to get to it tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's tomorrow. You've got tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah, I got tomorrow. Great. I need to get it out tomorrow. It probably won't be posted till Wednesday, early Wednesday, but I need to get it out just so I can like check against like predictions.
Yep.
I like
319 is not going to be the Q1 patch. It's going to be the Q1.5 patch. You know,
makes sense. Like they can't put out 319 until 318's out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like with 317 came out in April of last year, 319 isn't going to come out until April, May of this year. You know, it'll be a full 3 to, probably closer to 4 months, after.
And I highly doubt they want to merge 318 and 319.
Yeah.
Because that would be a whole new problem. I'm pretty sure they want 319 out or 318 out so they can throw instantly 319 onto the PTU. Or at least a week or two in between. And then start working on the bugs of 319. Let's see. The development of the Crusader Spirit continues, which passed its white box review with the A1 variant moving into the gray box phase. Interesting that they said the A1 specifically is in gray box, not all of them. Quote from the ship team: "The exterior is shaping up nicely with the key forms all established and all major elements like landing gear and VTOLs resolved. The interior is coming along, and we're very pleased with the space so far. Though there is a few visual changes we'd like to make to the doorways to emphasize Crusader's visual language." The ship team. A previously unannounced ground vehicle passed gray box sanity review. Before the artwork progressed to Lot 0, the exterior is almost finalized, requiring additional detail, while the interior is progressing well. That's why I thought we were getting a vehicle in 319. Had one. The US team completed art white box for another in-production vehicle, which was then passed to the system design team. Interesting new system with a white box ship. Gray box began on another ship. Half the team focused on the main fuselage geometry, with the other prototyped a new way to enter and exit the ship. Interesting. Finally, for ships, an all-new vehicle entered gray box, and a new set of alien paints was created for a future release. Interesting. And on the vehicle side, we got confirmation today that Montreal is getting their own ship team. So, yay, Montreal. And then we had Community with Tree.
Pardon me. Enjoying some ice cream.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the dev. Daniel something. Mr. Argo. He's like one of the lead designers for the Argo ships. Is moving to Montreal and going to be heading the new vehicle team out of the Turbulence studio in Montreal. So I posted about it on Twitter. I've been giving a bunch of people crap about it on Facebook about it, and it's like, yeah, remember when everybody was talking about how it's going to take 20 years to finish the backlog of ships? This is the plan. CIG's growing. They're building tools that making ships go faster, and then they're making the ship team bigger, so they're improving flight time and improving throughput in order to get this done faster. It's not going to take 20 years. Y'all are not even going to take 10 years. Y'all are crazy. Yeah. But people think that you can boil something like that down to, well, 1 year times 10 ships equals 10 years. Duh. Oh God, really?
The pesky Canadians.
Yeah. Pesky Canadians, eh? Yep.
Oh boy.
All right. So, community team. The community team kicked off the new year by announcing the winners of the Luminalia holiday card and Luminalia screenshot contests. They then supported the Red Festival 2953 celebrations, including the Moons of Fortune contest. In addition to the now persistent red envelopes of 2953, longtime players received the Red Festival envelopes from the previous 3 celebrations as in-game collector's items. Furthermore, players could claim 3 wooden roosters. Community is also supported the return of the Siege of Orison dynamic event with an in-depth guide. Oh, it just got rated by Starjump Grim with a party of 23. Thank you so much, Starjump, for rating us. I really appreciate it. Thank you and welcome everyone to the podcast, to the stream. We've got Ender and Grim joining us with their party. Did you guys just wrap up Starjump Station? Was this your first episode back? I remember you guys were saying something. Yeah, we've been we're just going over the January monthly report this stream, and this week we've got 2 streams. We're doing the monthly report for January today, and on Wednesday we'll be coming to you live in the evening, several hours after the big roadmap roundup. Looking forward to that information. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Feel free to stick around as we continue to go through the monthly report, adding in our own commentary as we go. If this is your first time checking Nazeris and I out, we are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen and its development. That includes the monthly reports, that includes the roadmap roundups, and doing deep dives on the development of all sorts of different things, in the development of Star Citizen. So appreciate you checking us out. And where were we? Did I finish the community? No, I didn't. Community.
Nope.
Yes. Welcome to the community. We're reading about the community.
Yep.
Throughout January, community continued to work on the events feature, which is a new section coming to the community hub next week. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's tomorrow is the where they announce and talk about the new additions and expansions and fixes and stuff to the community hub. I think the community hub is a great idea. It just has a ways to go in order to get it to where it needs to be. Give us more integration, so that way, as soon as Nazeris or I decide to stream on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, it gives a notification and it posts a thing.
I mean,
that way
I'll
we don't have
just
to
be
do
happy
it
with being able to log in.
Yeah, that helps too.
I can't,
that definitely.
I
makes
can't
it
log in.
helpful.
I think somebody else also in chat said they couldn't log in either. Like, I just want to log in. I can't post anything anyway, even if I wanted to. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see their updates to the hub, and I'm hoping the hub becomes more of they take over a lot of the stuff that's being posted on the comlink.
Yes.
Into the hub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we'll see tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Or not tomorrow. Wednesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday, right?
Yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday.
I have lost all sense of time.
They also work closely with Turbulent on other exciting additions such as text posts, bug fixes, etc. Turbulent, they have the team that is managing and upgrading the website. So you'll notice that some of the website looks different than other parts of the website. It's because it's an ongoing project to bring it up to a uniform usability and visual status. They are planning out new community events as well, coming to a bar near you. Let's see, North End Trooper, and I think Makeneer was in here earlier. North End Trooper actually lives here in Boise near me, and he and I, and let's see, was there a total of 6 of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of us total.
What's the threshold for getting a dev?
More than 6, I can guarantee you that.
Well, I'm nowhere near, so I can't join. So see us.
Yeah, we had a little Bar Citizen event this last Saturday. We got together at a friend of ours' house. We have a little Bar Citizen Boise Discord, and we just hung out and we unboxed a board game called Stars of Ikarios that I had pre-ordered and received and had never unboxed just because I had never had a chance, and I wanted to do it with other people who would appreciate an unboxing. And so we unboxed this huge board game, space board game, with all of these really great minis and stuff. And the production value was phenomenal. Or Thursday, not Saturday. Got my days mixed up.
And Northland asked, what is the end goal with the hub? Their end goal for the hub is a one-stop shop for everything anyone ever does that is community-driven from Star Citizen. So if you want Star Citizen content, their goal is you open up the hub and consume anything you want. Whether you're looking for Twitch streams, YouTube videos, YouTube guides, text guides, websites, 3D modeling tutorials, literally anything. They want you to be able to go there and to find it. But also, if you're not sure what you want to find, for you to be able to go there and just endlessly consume things that are being made by the community. Because having to have a YouTube account, having to have a Twitch account, and a Reddit account, and a Twitter account, and finding all these little communities that do all these sorts of different things is kind of a full-time job. Even following Star Citizen's kind of a full-time job that some people have made it. So they want to be able to pull all of the community force that is all around the world at this point into a single spot where everyone can see what everyone else is doing. That is what they're trying to do. The problem is the sheer quantity of content is going to running into a couple of problems that YouTube knows quite a lot about. So anything
make it easier to
do.
Consume Star Citizen content.
And to find what you're looking for. That's the big thing that's going to be a really hard thing for the team to figure out, is how to find what you're looking for. And not in uncertain terms, but in like, if I'm looking for, let's say if I'm looking for my video and I have had no interaction with Naz or the Naz profile at all, how do I find Naz's content without using his name? That is going to be really difficult. Like, because I do kind of generic stuff. So if I'm looking for like generic stuff, I'm going to be served everyone's generic content, like gameplay streams or whatnot. So, or opinion videos. Trying to find a nice way to serve that is going to be probably their biggest challenge.
That and just getting like everything to feed in there coherently from all these these disparate sources, and making ways to present things that are unlike, when you're going from Twitch streams to YouTube videos.
Show what it is.
Let's see, is it under
community? Yeah, you just go mouse over.
Open tab. And I started putting things up here, but then I was like, wait a minute, I have to do this manually for everything. I stopped doing it. But you can see how, it like, these are view all. Why didn't you put mine to the top there, Star Citizen? But these are all live streams right now of people playing Star Citizen. And this works automatically. What I want is, if you, like when you post a YouTube video, you can put that it's a Star Citizen YouTube video. And I want it to automatically pull that in to your part of the community hub and say, hey, I just posted this YouTube video. It's about Star Citizen. Boom, it's up here. Just like they do for Twitch. That's the integration I want. But because right now you have to do 79.
I wonder if there's any not on Twitch or YouTube, because that's what this enables, is if you're streaming literally anywhere to be able to post your live stream. And that is the cool part. You don't have to sign up to all of these places. You can sign up to just the website and still find people, and then maybe migrate over where they're streaming.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like
it has a lot of potential.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Turbulent is going to get lots of achievements through the community hub if and when they make it to their end goal.
Yeah.
Also,
and that's
tutorials.
It for community. Back to you for your favorite thing, the engine. But before you go into that, let's look at this image.
Look at this image. What's
So,
wrong with the image?
can y'all read this right here? That is INS Jericho. Imperial Naval Station in Jericho. So we all know what Jericho is. Xenothreat. And if you look closely, what are these things in the background? Besides the great big explodey bits. We have
talking about the Bengal?
a javelin and a Bengal. At what point in Xenothreat was there a Bengal? So
far, none.
they've been talking about the work that they've been doing to Xenothreat and expanding on it and making it sort of like a Xenothreat 2.0. I wonder.
But with like a Bengal showing up at the end?
Maybe.
Nice one. That makes a lot more sense than my ideas.
I don't know. It's just a thought. I'm just saying it's a
But
super
also-
cool image. And
also-
we know that this wasn't in game. This did not occur in game. So, in the PU. So,
Right. Also, Jericho Station is becoming a arena command.
yep, an arena commander map that fights back.
Yeah. So, will they put the Bengal in arena commander?
That's also a thought too. That it could be like an asset, in Arena Commander, because they talked about turrets. It could be talking about Bengal flying around, and you're helping to defend the Bengal from Vandal Swarm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking was rad. Okay, Xenothreat, we've had enough of your shit. Tony the Tiger, UE Bengal number 87 kicks in the door. That's actually, if somebody ever captures a Bengal, you need to figure out how to name it Tony.
Oh, that'd be great. All right.
Deploy the Frosted Flake Squadron off the flight deck.
God, that'd be. As long as they're all in like tan and white ships.
Yeah. All right. Have fun with this is actually probably the shortest engine section we have ever seen in a monthly report.
I know, right? So nice. Not that I don't like physics or engine optimizations, but there's a lot of jargon in these things. Anyway, in January, the physics team schedule was dominated by Alpha 318, bug fixing and support. Aside from this, triangles, vertexes, and normal transforms for physics triangle meshes were written to use SSE/AVX. What those are, I didn't get a chance to look up. But, which saves 30% of the cost. So that is talking about geometry. And physics with the geometry. Triangles and vertexes are all geometry things. So basically, we have 30% more efficient physics for geometry. Furthermore, the physicalization method for ropes can now be chosen per rope entity. Where are these ropes? We've been hearing about them for how long now?
Apparently, getting ropes to actually work in game appropriately is a very complex task.
It is a very complex task.
Requires a lot of engine work.
Like, it's a very complex physics calculation to get ropes to work, especially if you want them to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want a stretching, articulate rope, that's a lot of physics. Like, that's probably like tantamount to adding ray tracing. It's a lot of physics. On the renderer, various optimizations were implemented into Gen 12, partly based on telemetry gathered during Alpha 318 PTU, so congrats everyone who helped with that, among other things. This include performance improvements for transient list recording draw requests. I have no idea what that is. A special submission for scene rendering with reduced thread synchronization. A reduction for calls into the OS for general multi-threading processes. Additionally, render initialization was refactored to prepare for Vulkan. Cool. Last month's Gen 12 support for particles refactorization, I think.
Refraction.
Sure. Particle refraction. There we go. Now also works as intended. Cool. On the engine, or on the core engine, further improvements were made to the remote shader compiler. Yeah, compiler. Last month's work on adding support for huge pages was rolled out internally. Nice. Huge pages are now also used within the low-level memory allocator. Uh, Gmulk, I assume, is the internal
It's a
allocator.
weird name, but sure.
I assume it's a
gem allocator. Yeah.
I assume it's engineer speak, like,
Mm-hmm.
because they name stuff so well. To further reduce the executable size of the Linux DGS, or dedicated game server, the gold linker is now utilized to fold identical functions and various compiler generated data inside binaries. Lots of words. Basically, better launcher or better executable,
Mm-hmm.
smaller size. Page heap is now also supported for entities, which uses a special allocator to make debugging memory corruptions easier. Nice. Lastly, more work was done to support V2 of the P4K file introduced at the end of last year in the internal development tools. The update to P4K is going to break a lot of things, because a lot of people crack open the P4K to actually get the data out of it. I know, like, Urkel does. A lot of, like, I think the 3D tool that a lot of people use also is breaking open the P4K.
Oh yeah, to get the models and stuff.
Yep. So hopefully they actually release a here's how to fix your tools post, even if it's quietly. Okay, so yeah, that image is below, and it is labeled Arena Commander 1, by the way. That's the name of that picture. So we are back to you with features Arena Commander, with another Arena Commander picture under it.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Arena
Actually kind of supports my
Commander.
idea.
It does. I think that you had already read that.
But big warning here: we've seen images before with terrible, like, weird random names that have no relation to the image. So caution,
but that's when
due.
that's when you copy it into a separate file, though. Not when if you open the image up in a separate tab.
Yeah,
these are called Arena
no,
Commander
no,
1
no,
and
no,
2.
no.
If
Even
you
the
if you
last,
go if you scroll down like this and you copy it,
mhm.
into a document, it'll insert weird words that have nothing.
Well, that's
to
how I
do
did
with
it.
Hmm?
That's exactly how I put it into this report.
Huh, that's weird. Because normally the image names are just random.
I think they're actually holdovers from other image names, or something else got corrupted. But these ones are the first time we've seen them updated.
Yeah, it's the first time it has a coherent name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it isn't just a random word generator. So before
but it
we
may
can
be denoting what paragraph to put it around.
Yeah. Before I go into the Arena Commander feature team, one thing that's interesting for the engine side is in the previous monthly report, they talked about how they were working on the usage of performance and efficiency cores for 12th and 13th gen Intel CPUs, which I have. So for a lot of people, and we don't know why, it only affects some people, not all, but a goodly number. But a lot of people with 12th and 13th gen CPUs, Star Citizen was treating all the cores equally. Well, with those CPUs, they have performance and efficiency cores, so that way you can have more cores. But some of you have some cores that are the more powerful. They're physically larger. They can take more power. Those are your performance cores that you want doing performance intensive tasks. And then you have efficiency cores that are smaller and use a lot less power for running smaller tasks. Less power hungry. And so that way, if your computer is just idling and doing low effort things, it will use a lot less power and generate a lot less heat by using those efficiency cores. The only problem is Star Citizen was assigning the engine was assigning tasks to all the cores equally, and so it's causing a ton of like game breaking stuttering, just at random. And even though your frames, per second would be good, you'd have really bad stuttering because, your, one core would get done with a task as part of the render thread super fast. And the other one is like taking forever to do it. And they weren't in sync, hence the stuttering. And so you had to use you either had to disable your efficiency cores in the BIOS in order to fix it. And then you only had, half of your cores available to you, just your performance cores. Or you'd like what I was using is I was using a program called Process Lasso that would make it so that way Star Citizen could only use performance cores, and that way my operating system, OBS, all the other programs that I use while playing would be left with the efficiency cores, and that way it got rid of the stuttering. Well, I am glad to announce that after playing the latest version of the PTU with that fully enabled, that the issue has been fixed. I no longer have to use Process Lasso. I logged in, was it yesterday or the day before, and I was like getting 80 to 90 FPS in landing zones.
Nice.
On at 2K. I've got a 2K monitor running on a 3090 with a 12900 KF. I forget.
Nice.
I think it's KF. So yeah, I was super thrilled to see that because I don't have to run this separate program just to play Star Citizen. And it makes everything was running really smooth. Like it was just butter. So
I like how technology has finally caught up to Star Citizen.
Yeah.
They've been developing such a next-gen game consistently for the past 10 years. Technology is now up to where it can run it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be working on ray tracing soon enough, which means it's going to be, again, out of current-gen hands.
Ray tracing and DLSS and all that.
I hope the first time they use ray tracing is for AO, not reflections. Reflections are cool, but AO is much more important. Yes, VR. Absolutely VR. We have so many people who are dying to get into VR, including devs. I have my headset right here. I will be doing that the second. Like, I would love to be Evocati for that. Heck, they should put out a post to people when they start getting close to it and polling the community, see who has a VR-ready computer with a headset so that they get those into Evocati for the VR update. Okay, rant over.
Okay. All right. Arena Commander feature team. Throughout January, the team focused on polishing the new Arena Commander front end and racing tracks, including placing the New Horizons Speedway tracks above a new planet, Green 3 of the Ellis system. Above a new planet. Wasn't it always above Green 3, or is it a different planet?
No. The asset's new. The ground is actually there now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, instead, like...
Yeah, because you can fly down to the ground and loot.
Yeah. And they said I don't know where they put the boundaries. They might be using the bigger map now. The super big map. But you can now go explore Green 3, which is super cool. Yeah. Like I tried to do that a while ago. Like, how close can I get to the planet? I got pretty close, but it was still like maybe a good 2 to 5K above the planet. Now you can go land on the planet now.
Nice.
It's super cool. I cannot wait to see this.
Yeah, Paul said they just copied pasted a section of Microtech. I haven't taken a look at it. I don't race, so. Yeah, and I can't remember what
you'd be surprised how fast they can
in Ellis is like. So
yeah, you'd be surprised how fast they can spin up a whole new planet.
Yeah, and I don't remember what Green 3 is supposed to look like. So
it's a boreal planet, like Microtech. Yeah, it's boreal. But if you've ever used MS Paint, you know how easy it is to make a planet for CIG. It's the same amount of effort. So they use the assets that they used or microtech to build an entirely new plant. This is why they built the tools to build microtech.
Mm-hmm.
The report
Well, and
Raza.
I remember them talking about how because it's now it's in a planetary atmosphere and everything. There's gravity. There is atmosphere to fly through.
Yep, it's gonna screw everyone over that had good times on it already.
Yeah, it's not like how it was before.
Yep.
And that's what they're talking about. Some adjustments were also made to the racetracks themselves to suit the new Earth-like atmosphere. The team also experimented with new loadout selection previews on the front end, alongside polishing its style and flow. Work continued on the classic race refactor, with the first version of the new race manager and checkpoint setups being tested and feedback addressed. Optimizations and additions such as splits, qualifying, and new analytic data were made alongside improvements to time accuracy. The refactors of both the rounds and spawning modules continued across Arena Commander and Star Marine. This refactor sees the code drastically improved and brought up to current standards while providing more modularity for new features. It also tackles some of the problem areas that prevented expansion of the old systems, such as separating unintended connections to PU characters, validating loadouts, and adding the ability to change the ship selection while in game. And that's back to you for character and weapon features on the PU side.
And I forget, was it ISC they were talking with the Arena Commander feature team? Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things I really enjoy that they're doing is they're unifying the launch button. So no longer will it be main menu and then either into Arena Commander or Star Marine. It will be into Arena Commander, and once you're in that menu, you then pick a Star Marine game mode. So it'll be basically elimination or what's the other game mode? I only play elimination. Control point, something around, I forget what it is. Or race or squadron, swarm or whatever. Like it will not. It's no longer in two buttons. One button. So happy. All right. Features, features, characters, and weapons. Last month, the feature team continued to support the upcoming patch release with critical bug fixes, specifically issues relating to the cargo system, tractor beam, and inventory. I wonder if that's the handheld or I assume so because it's 318, but you never know. They fixed several client and server crashes too. Good job, guys. They also worked on the player skills feature, the very controversial feature. This tracks certain player activities and actions with minimal hooks into the gameplay feature logic, with an emphasis on performance. From the data and events gathered, the players can improve certain aspects of their performance. For example, a player with a high level of fitness may have more stamina or consume more stamina at a slower rate. Basically, these are very, very small adjustments. Very small. Like, it's not going to make you a better dogfighter. But if you run everywhere, then maybe you'll be able to run for like another minute or another like 30 seconds. It is not going to make or break the game. It's not going to. Basically, you only have an edge. If the person you're going up against is 10% better than you at whatever task it is, that 10% will probably outweigh your bonuses that your skills give you. These are very, very slight adjustments to certain aspects of your character. But they do, it's basically a way to grow your character to help the game not seem so static and to give you a little bonus for doing whatever it is you like doing in the game already. The team has been working on better support for the player playing animations, player playing animations triggered by environmental interactions, such as the character physically opening a locker door, yes, or pressing buttons on the vehicle dashboard, also yes. These are either quick or decorative action sequences with a large focus on reusability to scale with the amount of planned content. There's a lot of buttons. There is a lot of balance to ensure it increases immersion with minimal impact on responsiveness, which is a good way of going about those. I know what you mean there. Anyway, back to for featured gameplay, both Squadron and Star Citizen.
Alrighty, 1 second. Let's see. Gameplay. Wait, let's start with... Yeah, it starts with the PU side. Okay. Gameplay feature team. The EU team continued working... There are 2 teams, US and PU gameplay features. The EU team continued to work on the tractor beam, this time focusing on escaping mechanics, such as how shields affect the required strength of a tractor beam to secure a ship. A prototype was built to test the potential and help decide whether average shield strength or per shield face determines the required strength. Additionally, the team began work on detaching and attaching items with the tractor beam, which is an expansion of the attaching to cargo grid feature. So that they're not building the tractor beams, they're already testing the mechanics. You know, they've already...
I think it's interesting. Instead of just a grab object thing, it's working off the cargo grid feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so also, that entire paragraph is not tow truck gameplay. That's pirate gameplay they're testing. Not, oh, I need to go pick up, guy asks for a tow. This is, how do I not get stolen by pirates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're already working on testing the features that, it allows and what it does and how it interacts with things. So, they're already pretty well along with this. So it's interesting to see. I definitely don't think this is going to take very long at all.
No, I think you're right. I think this is a 319 feature. Thinking that, what month is it? End of March, we get a PTU of 319. I think this being already in balance and testing, I think this is obviously going to make it in. They don't even have to put tractor beams in the first PTU or even in the first Evocati, but it can get there when it gets there, and then sometime after it gets in, they'll release the patch. So yeah, SRV I think is definitely probably and almost definitely in 319.
Let's see where a clearer direction for the expected ship engineer gameplay was also defined. This involved determining the gameplay beats and planning the possible malfunctions and dangers player will face while maintaining their ships. Interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what this entails on ISC because I'm having a hard time. I don't know what they mean. They're talking about the engineer gameplay, but when they say beats and they use little words like that, like malfunctions, as in if you do something wrong, does this start sparking and make flames?
Beats in game design normally is talking about what are you going from and to every time. So okay. It's a beat would be repairing or replacing a fuse. So they don't want to be your beat is replace a fuse, replace a fuse, replace a fuse, replace a fuse. They want you to balance power, replace a fuse, repair a fuse, check engine levels.
A multi-phase operation to do something, not just a repetitive motion.
Right. Machine. And as far as stuff to kill you, you're working on giant flipping engines. If you say, okay, let's replace this without turning off the power first, maybe it feeds back and just blows you up. Or the ship up. Or just feeds back and electrocutes you. Or you open a hatch and it decompresses violently. What do engineers face?
Yeah.
Ways to make the game interesting for an engineer.
They should ask Nightcob.
Why would he know anything about that?
Yeah. Additionally, the ongoing mining balance. If you're not aware, Nightcob is one of my partners for the Armchair Admirals and Generals podcast, and he is a U.S. Navy engineer on a nuclear submarine. So he manages a nuclear power plant in a sub. So he knows this stuff. He has a lot of really great perspectives.
Actually, I actually like to pick his brain. Have you done an engineering one?
We talked about damage control, so that was interesting. Yeah.
We should do a big round table of all of us and do bigger features like engineering.
That would be cool. Okay, sorry.
Yes,
I started
put pin
brainstorming.
somewhere on that. We need to write that down somewhere.
Additionally, the ongoing mining balance update progressed well, with small changes that have bigger impacts being added to the system. For salvage, gameplay features to help missions prepare to use the mechanic in new content. So they're going to be working on new salvage-based missions, which is great. They're rebalancing mining, because I know they talked about how they want to differentiate it more between what a small mining ship can do versus a medium and a large mining ship, which makes sense because we have the Prospector, we have the Mole. They're going to be working on the large mining ship, which is RSI, and then eventually the capital mining ship, which is the Orion. And so they want to differentiate those things in order for there to be progression. So that way you can't just say, oh, I'm going to bring 6 prospectors instead of a Mole or whatever. You need to, work your way up to the bigger ship in order to do certain things. That it's just career progression. In the US, gameplay features continued with the overall design for loading and unloading physicalized cargo, and designs for missions that leverage the new cargo systems kicked off. They're designing the missions. Yay. So that leverage the new cargo systems, kicked off. Okay, so the missions are already being designed. It's not going to take long to get those implemented into the game and get them tested. Cargo missions are coming, folks. It's probably going to be 319. These missions will also utilize the boarding actions now available with soft death, alongside the retrieval of containers or other objects of interest. That sounds like fun. So not only do you have to, attack a target and, soft death it in order to retrieve a, cargo, but that cargo can be mission based or other objects of interest. So that's going to be really fun to mess around with. Those are going to be cool missions. Investigation and preliminary design work started on changes to ship insurance and how it works in conjunction with ship destruction. These changes are necessary to make towing and repairing, either at stations or in space, a better choice. This has been a long time coming, but they're thinking about this because of where we are going right now and in the near future. With persistence and other features coming alongside in the game, they're going to make it, basically, you don't want to press backspace and self-destruct and claim your ship. If you do that, it's a major inconvenience to you. You want to have it towed. You want to call for fuel. You want to, call for repair. This is they're saying in no uncertain terms that this is where it's going with ships. And guess what? It's going to be the same way for players. Medical gameplay. Your character is the same as a ship.
Yep. I hope that with this change, they also bring in racing insurance. For specifically light and snub fighters. Because you're probably not towing light fighters. Predominantly. And for those who fly lots of light ships, can I be an interest? No. Smithy does a lot of racing. I do a couple. I've been doing, I guess, for the last 2 weeks, track day with him on Thursdays. We blow up a lot of ships and need to respawn them. Having a increased barrier to racing, yes, would drive us more towards the arena commander, but that's actively hurting your community as it stands now. I don't think that's a great idea on your second patch after you put in all these racetracks. So I really hope they add racing insurance to light fighters and snubs that you can additionally buy in game, but that will keep the premium or time down for your racing ships. Or heck, maybe even do it specifically only for racers, because they have the tag, so maybe use that. Which, yes, will limit a lot of people because I race in an Arrow. But for those people who actually use racing ships, CIG, please consider.
Oh, sorry, last line. Tasks were started for a change to commodities, including the locations they can be bought and sold from. Tasks were started for a change to commodities, including the locations they can be bought and sold from. For example, changes to mining locations will impact the location and prices for mined and refined ores at commodity brokers. So they're also getting to work on the changes to the economy in order to make way for quantum, because quantum is coming, folks.
Station-based cargo.
Yeah, station-based cargo, and you moving cargo under contract and minimizing the commodity trading aspect of it. Is it still gonna be a thing? Yes, it's still gonna be a thing. Is that gonna be how most cargo is moved to that verse? No, absolutely not. Organization A will put out a contract for you to move this from here to where they need it here, just like how it works in the real world. That's what quantum is designed for. So they'll probably put out orders for people to, hey, I need this much of this. I can't buy it. I can't find anywhere to buy it. And if you have it, you can fulfill that order. Blah blah blah. But for the most part, cargo is you taking a contract in order to move someone else's cargo for them under consignment, just like how trucking and shipping works in real life.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
And most cargo is supposed to be between stations. So there's lots of little ships, Lancer size, Caterpillar size, maybe even up to C2 size, but maybe not, of lots of ships moving from a planet or from a system, moons and planet, to the main station. And the most popular cargo ship is the Hull C. And they're running from station to station everywhere, moving the bulk of it. That's why the cargo decks are so dang big.
Yeah.
So once, let's say, you move a ton of titanium to Port Olisar, change impending, Crusader then hires a plethora of other haulers or even their own to transfer it from the station down to the planet to all their foundries and all their ship dreadnoughts. It's not moving from Benson mining to CBD and Hurston. It's not how most mining or most cargo hauling is done. It's from station to station or station to planet.
Mm-hmm. The gameplay feature team worked on seamless this is for Squadron 42. The gameplay feature team worked on seamless transitions rather than camera cuts when moving between the player's view and cinematic sequences, both when piloting a ship or walking around. I really enjoy those. I like it when they do it in like the commercials and other videos where you're going from one straight into and out of a cutscene. That it's way less jarring. I like how smooth that feels, so I'm looking forward to seeing those.
I'm just thinking of it. I really like we saw at least 1-2 cuts, 3 cuts in the Morrow tour. Now imagine let's say the first cut was when they were pulling in the Argo with the prisoners on it. So imagine you stare out the hangar, and the camera just detaches and zooms out to the hangar bay, watching the thing come in. And then when the thing gets done, it goes back into your character. Just like
so
that
cinematic.
Spatial awareness is just going to just I can't. Oh, I want to see the transition with that.
They've done that with a lot of games, and I really enjoy it. The new field manual Mobiglass app progressed, which collates the tutorials players experienced during the game. A male and female voice selection was added to the application form, and progress on saving and loading was made. Now the team can save the replication layer and store it, getting back to fundamentally the same state it was left in, including the correct scripted mission modules. A lot of general edge cases were fixed too.
Wow.
Interesting that they're working on an app for the new Mobiglass. Makes you wonder, because was it in this one? Well, I think we'll get down to it. I don't think there's a UI section in this other report.
Yeah, there is.
Is there? Or no, it's the previous one.
Yeah, UI and then VFX done.
I didn't get that far, so we'll be surprised together. Numerous star map improvements were made. Woo! Including better transitions between the real and cosmetic scaling as it's zoomed in and out, correct grid movement when panning, improved culling when objects intersect, and correct size and aligned text labels. So it sounds like the star map is coming along quite nicely. And is not really in production, but more in the polishing phases.
I think
Was there-
Blizzard said it best. Thank God.
Yeah, yes, exactly. General iteration following feedback was also made to the application form, character customizer, armor interaction, armory terminal, and mission manager app. And that
Sounds
is
like
it
a
for
lot of
gameplay
polish.
features. Yeah, lots of polish. Weird. Back to you for mission features on the PU side.
I almost thought that I had again split up the thing. No. Okay. Mission features. You did features gameplay. Okay. The majority of the mission features team month was spent addressing bugs and balancing for Alpha 3.18. Progress was also made on the design and prototyping of various new missions, including salvage. A quote: the order we are tackling these missions is based on when we receive the necessary support. So the first missions produced will be more simplistic salvage ones. These include a lawful contract in which players must pay for the location of salvage, an unlawful timed mission in which players must strip ships quickly, or deal with inbound hostiles. A lawless mission in which multiple players pay for a location of the same large salvage opportunity, and one in which players must restore a ship using nearby wrecks or materials. So it's
Ooh,
like 4 or 5 different missions. Like,
that
yeah, they're
sounds fun.
simplistic. Thank you,
Uh-oh.
Cat. It's
Way to go,
fine.
Cat.
Might just have a couple dead motherboards now. Yeah, I should move that box along. Anyway. Okay, let's record. Okay. Yeah, like 4 or 5 different missions. Based on salvage. And they talked about these during SCL, I think. Right? I think that's when they talked about them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
the
cool
mission
salvage
team
missions.
recently.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Was
then
it this
also,
last one or the one before? I think it was the one
It
before.
was the last one. That was the last one.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What? Way to blame the cat. It's his fault. Anyway, a mining mission was also prototyped in which players purchased the location of valuables, location of a valuable prospect. There we go. There are currently 3 variants: lawful, which takes place in monitored zone and has friendly defenses to protect against hostiles; unlawful, where players seize legally owned mining claims; and lawless, which takes place in unmonitored zone and can be accepted by multiple players. Fight. The team also developed larger mission sets on the Origin platforms. Yay. These tasks players with either preventing the Ninetales gang from stealing Crusader Industries prototype parts or stealing them for another criminal organization. Also nice. A few other missions progressed through the design and work on Bounty Hunter V2, and mission manager updates continued. Finally, for mission features, designs for defending player ships from intruders and ship-based hostility were worked on. Okay, I don't know how exactly those work into mission feature. Because it's player ships.
Designs for defending player ships from intruders and ship-based hostility were worked on.
But this is a mission feature.
Oh, as part of a mission?
Yeah.
Your ship gets boarded?
But it's I don't know how you make a. Well, I guess we'll find out how you make a canned mission for a dynamic event, kind of thing. But this is kind of the crap they do. So, these features are intended to replace the simplistic hostility currently in the game, where ships remember the hostility of their last pilot or turn hostile the moment a hostile player steps aboard. What? This paragraph makes no sense to me.
I think they're working on designing missions that involve your ship being boarded,
or you boarding other ships.
Yeah,
because as in hostiles turning hostile when you step on board.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering the last pilot, remember the last pilot makes sense for them coming on your ship and then being hostile. Yeah, I think NPCs are gonna start boarding ships. Oh, let's see, and that was it for that. And it's to you for in-game branding.
In-game branding. Last month, the in-game branding team progressed with their work on the Lorville skyline. They then transitioned to Invictus Launch Week, including a refresh of the DefenseCon branding, which will become the main focus for the upcoming weeks. Progress continued on the brand catalog too.
Nice.
That's it. And over to vehicle features. Why is that? Is that just only in Squadron 42? Okay.
Oh, did I not color it correctly?
Yep.
Whoopsies. All right. Vehicle features. January saw a vehicle features team numerous aspects of vehicle combat, including ships and weapon balance. Tweaks were also made to the HUD and aiming and targeting to further improve the combat experience. Yes, that's on and. Vehicle feature also began work on radar, having taken it from the Arena Commander feature team to support the needs of Squadron 42. Recent work included adding various features in support of the new scanning UI and multi-function display, or MDs. The quantum travel rework is nearing completion, possibly, hopefully, maybe. No, because this is Squadron. I was going to say 319, but maybe not. Last month, the team completed quantum spawning, which allows them to spawn AI ships as though they have quantum traveled into an area. That is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last feature required to widely use quantum travel in various chapters. Nice. UI was also worked on throughout the month. The MFD rework.
Can't wait for the quantum travel rework to be in game because that is so jank right now and has been so jank for so long.
Mm-hmm. There's gonna be a lot of stuff, and I imagine that will get in this year. With the team working through numerous technical issues in the UI system. They also fleshed out the new MFD control system, which is designed to be used with the keys or gamepad rather than the interaction mode. Yay! The HUD is being worked and integrated heavily with the new MFD system. Good. It will help accessibility. All right. And that is vehicle features. So back to you for gameplay story. And I will be back.
All right. And it's all Squadron 42. Yep. Gameplay story. Last month, Gameplay Story used new mocap data across multiple chapters and scenes, including creating new animations for Chapter 18 to allow the characters to end the scene in a more realistic way, as well as giving them longer end idles. The new mocap also helped a scene in Chapter 14, where a character holds a data pad in the wrong hand. Okay, random. They now transition from walking with the data pad into the scene seamlessly. A scene was also fixed in Chapter 8 to allow a character to holster their datapad correctly. What do you mean by the quantum system, drive system is jank? What's wrong about it? The going in and out of quantum, there's all sorts of stuttering and graphical glitches and frame drops and such. And it's old and it does not perform well at all. The alignment's all weird, and there's a lot to fix. Changes were made to Chapter 14 following feedback about wanting a character to be able to react if the player followed them down a hallway. Not only can they now turn, deliver a line, and continue walking, they can trigger scenes that start up a conversation with the player. This was done by shooting new mocap to give the character more life and the ability to glance around and realize the player is there. Polish passes were made to various scenes to get them to a much higher standard. One in Chapter 12 required using a previously made animation and altering it through a combination of hand keying and mocap to create a completely new piece where the character delivers their own lines to the player and encourages them to catch up. Several scenes were also improved by changing how the character interacts with the console. This was made more believable following a pass on their hands and fingers, so they appear to be pressing keys or typing. Gameplay Story also experimented with the Look At feature for a scene in Chapter 4, as testers had flagged that the characters didn't seem to be looking at the player. We chose to do a full pass on both characters and managed to push the look at to allow them to involve the player in the conversation and make them feel included. We have hit the start of the new year running and are delivering lots of high quality work at a very good pace. Gameplay story team. And that will be over to Nazeris for lighting on the PU side. Well, it's a short one, so I'll just read it for him. Lighting began the year making progress in several key areas, including tidying and bug fixing Area 18 to restore its intended appearance. Intended appearance. I wonder how it got away from its intended appearance. I think one. Oh, I got started on the lighting because I didn't know how soon you were going to be back.
Okay, that's fine.
No,
What got away from its intended thing?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That was the first line, so I'm on the second line.
Yes. I was just wondering because, like it said, to restore it to its intended appearance. I'm just wondering, okay, how did it get away from its intended appearance?
Well, when you place a light, it looks a certain way. Then you update your render engine, and that light is differently rendered.
Light looks different. Yep, I got you.
That's not the only way it gets away from it, but changing lights, changing contrast, changing geometry, atmospherics, lots of ways. Any update could have changed its appearance. Anyway, work on Pyro continued. Wow, shocked. With the team lighting the interior and exteriors of the Colonial Outpost and Ruin Station. They also supported the ongoing rework of Lorville's skyline, touching up and improving several areas of the city. Screenshot 3. Back to you for Live Tools, Montreal.
I like the way that graffiti looks in that screenshot.
I wonder if they have luminescent paint, or is that just how
it doesn't is? Remember that cartoon, Real Monsters? Did you ever watch that?
Not off the top of my head.
That looks like a character from Real Monsters to me. You might be too young.
Oh, I know old shows.
We're gonna.
I don't see anything making light, but there's a giant purple light there.
Crumb. That's who it is. It reminds me of Crumb. Looks like hands holding an eyeball, holding eyeballs or something. And then there's Crumb.
I've definitely seen these things before.
Yeah. It was a weird cartoon. It was a weird time.
I mean...
Okay, so lighting. So Live Tools Montreal for me. All right. Live Tools Montreal. In January, the Live Tools team worked on several improvements to the local development environmental tool. They're currently finalizing the last step of implementing the Entity Graph tool into the Network Operations Center. The roadmap for 2023 projects was also refined with the addition of new projects that will support server meshing. So this is interesting because they don't ever include the network or systemic services and tools teams. The teams working on server meshing, PES, Quantum in the monthly reports. But they do talk about teams that are interacting with them on their projects. So Live Tools, these are the tools that are the team that makes tools that interact with the live servers, and the things that are the builds that are deployed on the platform, whether it's P2 or live, that sort of thing. And so Montreal, they're the ones who are constantly monitoring the game platform, the servers and the different systems, and running all that. And so they are working alongside the network team. The network team is really building the tech in conjunction with these other teams who end up deploying it out to the field. So They're working on new projects that will support server meshing, so they're getting ready for the rollout of server meshing as it's being developed and produced. That's it for live tools. So over to you for EU locations. I like these little Quonset huts. These are cool.
Yeah, I'd like. Do we get? Tell me that's the first phase of building. Let me place one of those down. That's my home now.
I can tell you right now. So the military for a long time used little huts like that for barracks and other functions on military bases because they were super cheap and easy to put up and maintain, and they were very resistant to wind and weather in the crappy environments that the military has bases all over the world. And they're still very prominent in lots of facilities. I've lived in those because most of the time they often just have stamped dirt or floorboards laid down on dirt as ground. And I've lived in those things for long periods of time. And I can tell you right now, when the sun is baking on these metal roofs, and all you have is one of those little like chimney things with a fan sticking out of it, where air just moves out of it via convection and pulls in air from the doors or the windows. Oh my God, they get just absolutely stupid hot. Yeah, it's an oven. So yeah, EU locations.
Yes, January saw the locations.
He's going in here because this is actually a sauna. This is a sauna for NPCs. He's turning on the generator that will power the sauna.
Yes, quite. I'm sure. That's why there's a satellite dish. Continued work on Pyro Ruin Station. They actually called it the correct term this time. A quote from the EU Location 1 team. This is a behemoth task that the team have been diligently working on, and it's better, and it's looking better every day. Or gosh, let me start over. Jeez. This is a behemoth task that the team have been diligently working on, and it's looking better day on day. Gosh, I cannot read people's words. Basically, they've taken the time that the extra year and put it to good use. EU Location 2 progressed with the local law office mentioned in last month's report and created new content alongside mission feature. The sandbox teams further developed the colonial outpost and continued exploring the development of the underground facilities. Can't wait to see more of those. Production. This is a quote from the sandbox team. Production is starting to ramp up, and the team are feeling good about the work being done. Apparently, I'm really bad reading quotes. The organics team spent last month reworking areas already in the game and progressed with the art benchmark for Rocky Caves. As we learned, I forget when we learned it. Now that we have the predominantly most of the outposts done for Pyro, they're looking back into the library of assets to flesh out the kind of in-betweens. Now that they have all the ones they need for Pyro. So the little huts, the refineries, the solar panels, and see what all they need to add to the library to finish the library. And then I believe it is back to you for narrative. Nope, level design first. I get narrative, you level design.
Oh, level design on Squadron 42 side. Yes. Last month, the Space and Dogfight team continued to develop the gameplay experience with the aim of having all dogfighting flow seamlessly from social and FPS sections. Flow seamlessly from social and FPS sections. Interesting. I'm curious about what they mean by that. Like, are you hanging out in the galley on the UES Stanton and they want it to flow, the scramble fighters and, flow seamlessly from there down to you getting in your fighter and then dogfighting, or, you getting into a gunfight on the surface of Odin, whatever. And, then, you break out of the gunfight, you make it back to your ship, and then you get up into the sky and start fighting.
What? This is not Tau. Has nothing to do with how.
They also integrated new features and AI improvements as they came online and worked with the vehicle feature team on new flight mechanics such as quantum boost and the atmospheric flight model. Yes, I am so excited about them implementing more of the atmospheric flight model with the control surfaces, because once that is done is when they will implement the full version of the thruster efficiency curves and making ships with VTOLs behave like ships with VTOLs, and those without them behave without how they should without them. Yeah, instead of ships feeling so dang, instead of ships feeling very floaty and how they do now. And that is it. Back over to you for, let's see, that was level design. So you on narrative PU.
Wow, this is a big one.
This is a really big narrative team. Or they're going nuts after changing their schedule.
Yeah, I must really like the new schedule. Anyway, Narrative Star Citizen. Narrative began the new year with continuing to push support to support the latest patch and progress with tests started before the holidays. This included working with the design team to start scripting upcoming mining and salvage missions, which we read about earlier. They also continued developing stories for the first batch of investigation missions, discussed potential upcoming content. Investigation missions are the big missions that they talked about during CitizenCon, not just the go find the random dead crew members, I assume. The environment and design teams provide updates on the new locations that will start appearing in the game to support bounty hunting. This, I guess, lends credence to your law office theory.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative worked closely with them to ensure these areas align with and gameplay expectations. Planning was also undertaken for the year ahead. Part of this including building a comprehensive resources listing all the various organizations and NPCs and what mission content they offer. This provides a single source for team members to reference when coming up with new missions. Narrative are also seeking to leverage their dedicated narrative designers to look at the current mission giver setup, as well as prototype simple story-based missions that could be placed around the various landing zones to provide additional content.
Did you adjust your volume for your mic? You seem quieter than you were before.
I'm talking over my mic, not into it. How's that? Is that better?
There we go. Much better. Yep. Thank you.
I wonder if these story-based missions, because it says that could be placed around various locations. I wonder if it's like stay in city stuff. It would be nice if it was just in city stuff, something to do before you get in your ship and leave.
Yeah, especially as they expand the landing zones, which we know they're going to do. You know, hey, you need to take this tram over here to go talk to this person, or to grab this, or to do this. And
I would love a correspondence mission within the city. Like, especially in Lorville, because there's a lot of people there. Like, hey, you have to go talk to Constantine Hurston and then report back to Clovis Darnley. Like, that would be a great mission. I have no idea how those two fit into a narrative, but that would be a great mission. Maybe Clovis is subsidized by Hurston. Who knows?
Yeah.
Subsidized. The team also published their new schedule and approach to lore dispatches, aka we aren't getting any. In short, we have scaled back on original fictional content for the website in order to focus on in-game content. The ultimate hope is that we will be able to resurrect these stories and news updates in the game. So basically, they're just doing their job now instead of publishing stuff on the internet. It's no longer Star Citizen is no longer a blog site. Yay! But honestly, they're finally able to start taking their talent and putting it where they've been hired to put it.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of those things that we've been reading over the years will continue in the PU, but it won't be in written form. You'll have probably have an app on your Mobiglass where you listen to a voice recording or watch a video recording or of these different Spectrum dispatches, and
or maybe we
the
get
news
to read
bits,
them.
and or some of them will probably be written. It just it varies, but the a lot of the stuff will be in game in various and take various forms and function. Especially if it's related to in-game events, that are occurring. But I don't think like the character-based ones, are going away, especially like the ones that are like a Spectrum-based show. Yeah. And
I still have a Squadron
narrative
42-bit.
Squadron 42. Okay.
Yep. Narrative started the year with reviews alongside the design team. Yeah, sounded a lot like the start of the last one, but no, we're good. With placeholder dialogue, this is a quote, being implemented in the in-game for additional content generated last year, it's important to playtest and evaluate the adjusted experience before re-record or recording the final release quality version with professional actors. No offense to the amazing performances from the team members who volunteered to record the placeholder content, the narrative team. Basically, they want to validate that what the changes that they're making actually work with the narrative before calling back, let's say, Mark Hamill to re-record something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know this, but actors are expensive. Their time is very valuable. So yeah, even like yeah. I'm just gonna not rant about that. Anyway, yes, so they're doing good jobs. The team is currently finalizing the mocap schedule with a breakdown of what is ready to be recorded and what still needs fine tuning. Another focus for January was the game's assorted collectible and discoverable narrative content, including messages that players will find if they explore areas and interact with datapads and terminals. Part of this process consists of chapter by chapter walkthroughs to ensure content is appropriately placed. Additionally, the team outlined the new personal comms message the players will receive throughout the campaign from various characters. While some of the messages in the main game flow had already been written, the team wanted to expand on them to provide even more narrative content that will tie into the player's actions and decisions. Finally, Narrative worked on the core gameplay pillar design team, or with the core gameplay pillar design team, to create detailed reviews of the interactive terminals that players will use for things like puzzle solving and navigating. The Narrative team is helping to ensure that the language used on these displays is not only clear and concise, but thematically appropriate for the universe. Lots
I'm
of really
probably
cool
going
work.
to have like the record for longest or slowest playthrough of Squadron 42, because I'm one of those people that will explore an entire environment and find every last thing that I can interact with it. Read every data pad, loot every little thing that I can grab, the whole shebang. Yeah, that's
I'm gonna try.
so when they
and
talked
do
about all, finding data pads and other,
Mhm.
bits and pieces that, you can get information from, that's ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at this. Ooh.
I'm gonna try and do it RP style.
Mm-hmm.
I want to build a persona of the character and then move through the environment as they would. So if they're the person to get distracted like that, then they do. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's gonna be the like search every corner of the map. They are still military backgrounds, so I think there's gonna be a focus to them, but also as we've seen in like the vertical slice, they're not exactly, at least not what we saw, like the very like staunch, like this is the rule kind of person. So somewhere between um me and I don't know where that sentence was going, but yeah. I want to find a character to play and then play that through the Squadron 42 thing. So
Yeah.
at least for my first playthrough. My second playthrough, it's look at every fine bit, talk to every character 5 times till they start repeating lines. Get all the things. And then back to you for online services, Montreal.
Online services Montreal. In Montreal, online services plan the year ahead, discussing server meshing with the networking team. This is more of the that the teams that work on all the, when you log into the game, and basically everything that your client interacts with when you're launching the game and connecting, that's what those two, this team and the other one that we talked about, the Live Tools team, that's what, that's their purview. Montreal does all that. They maintain all of that. They do it. That was why that team was built. They do it so that way the network and the network and server team that is developing all the tech doesn't have to do that on the side. So, in Montreal, online services planned the year ahead, discussing server meshing with the networking team. The goal was to achieve technical design consensus and division of responsibilities between the teams in order to deliver the feature. So they're basically getting everything ready on their end again to implement server meshing. Server meshing, the services and the features, the tech itself is being built by the network team, and then they have to integrate it with the online services and the Live Tools teams in Montreal. The following week, online services further defined the tasks needed to achieve server meshing tier 0, which is that static server meshing that they talked about in the letter from the chairman. Essentially, the idea is to have Stanton and Pyro simulated by 4 servers. And we assume that they mean 2 servers splitting up Pyro and 2 servers splitting up Stanton, and that, this mesh and this mesh are able to talk to each other and exchange
in one cohesive mesh.
Yeah, they're one cohesive mesh, and they're able to exchange information back and forth between each other within Pyro and Stanton, as well as between Pyro and Stanton. So, essentially testing both ways to exchange information within the simulation, from system to system and then within system. And the remainder of the month was spent putting the final touches on Alpha 3 Teens features, including character repair, long-term persistence, insurance, and bug fixing. Back to you for ship, tech art, and animation on the PU side. We're almost done.
Yep. And just as a reminder for those with server meshing, they already had, was it 2 years ago or so, an internal working concept. So it's not that they're just now getting around to dealing out the tasks needed to build server meshing. They have server meshing. Now it's just a matter of expanding the functionality to the entire game and putting this on the PTU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of teams to get in touch with to make sure the launch of it goes somewhere like 318, but hopefully better.
Yeah.
But they have an internal functioning server meshing. So just want to make sure that that's in there. Ship tech art / animation. Ship tech art and animation progress with the Hull C. Yay. January saw them working on the animation and state setup for ships expanding cargo mode. Tech animation and damage support was provided for several ships in the pipeline, and all these ships were reviewed alongside QA to ensure that relevant components attachments can take damage. Good. They also enabled shader damage scripting or scraping on various ships attachments and fixed several hull scraping issues on the ship bodies, and that's been an ongoing thing in the PTU. But yay,
so
Hull C.
I don't pay attention to all the ships because there's a whole lot of ships and everybody has their niche. Obviously, everybody knows that I'm a geek for the Valkyrie and the Apollo. With the Hull C, and they talked about the work on the animations for the state setup and the ship's expanded cargo mode. They talked about it was in the previous monthly report, the tube that goes in between tube. Is the tube on the Hull C, is that supposed to be stand up and walkable big enough, or is it more of a you crawl from one end to another like a Jeffries tube? Do we know how big that one is compared?
Yes.
Because I know that the bigger, like was it the D or the E? It's supposed to be basically like you can drive a Steve through it. But I couldn't remember how big the telescoping tube thing was actually supposed to be on the Hull C. Yeah.
Give me 3
Yeah,
seconds.
Robert Rose, I had the same question because like I could have sworn they had talked about it at some point, but it's been so long and it's not one of the things I had.
There you go. Put it in Discord too. Oh, that's not the actual. Hold on. That one.
Aha.
Copy image. That works too.
Okay. I see.
There you go.
I think
Yes,
that's
it is
probably walkable. It's hard.
It's
There's
not great
really anything.
catable, but it's walkable.
Well, and it's hard because like there isn't really anything for scale, but it looks like it's probably
If you look at some of the other images, you can see doors and where like the kind of shape and language and texture size. Like if you go to the one that's foggy and has the orange line going around the corner. There you go, that one.
this.
Right below the tube. Right below the tube. So you can see like the texture detail there and the size of the orange stripe and the size of the door. Take that, shapes, transfer it up to the tube. It's a walkable tube.
I wonder how big that is in comparison to the little circular docking collar airlocks that we have on some of the other ships. You know, like the Caterpillar,
I imagine it's slightly bigger.
Yeah, because I've always wondered like that's actually something I was been meaning to do digging into is if they've ever shown us concept art of what docking two smaller ships will look like if you want to dock a Cutlass Red with your Connie Andromeda.
The problem I have with the circle docks is that they are crouched areas. You can't walk out of one of those circles.
Yeah.
And especially on like bigger ships, like a Constellation, there's plenty of space there to put a human height docking collar. Not one of the big ones like the Hammerhead has, but something in between the small crouch holes and the giant docking port.
Yeah,
there's got to be
some.
some.
And I think they did that just
size.
because it's not going to be a very long distance. You know, but you know why they went.
But
with
you can't
circle...
make flotillas out of that.
Yeah,
I want to be able to walk across. No dying.
It does make things interesting though. But like the Carrack has one of those small circular ones in the airlock.
I know.
Yeah,
it actually looks bigger than the Constellation one.
It does.
So maybe the Constellation is
deceiving because you just pop right out of it. You don't like.
Yeah, you don't. There's not a lot of like serious investigation as you're standing in the doorway. Now I'm looking at screenshots of Misk stuff in the whole sea. How dare you? You've done this to me?
All right. So UI, and this is the PU side. The UI tech team continued to support Alpha 318, ironing out any remaining issues with the way the vehicle and character loadout systems interact with persistent streaming. The team also helped with the Squadron 42 star map, which will eventually make its way into the PU. The fact that they're saying this right now doesn't lend me to believe that it's going to be a end of the year thing. I think that this star map is far enough along that we'll be seeing it sooner than that. The current focus is on adding navigation aids such as grids and coordinates, improving the sizing of planets and markers, and adding visual polish. So, you know, they're helped with the Squadron 42 star map, but this is just a star map. The taking what they've made for Squadron 42 and implementing it into the PU is not some huge. It's not some huge endeavor. You know, they have the map. You know, it's just for Stanton and Pyro. They just have to port it over and add the other things. The 80% of the work was building the new tech and new features that it uses. And then UI on Squadron 42, the UI tech team added new debugging tools to help them manage building blocks alongside a new array of widgets to speed up their workflow. The UI tech team added new debugging tools to help them manage building blocks alongside a new array of widgets to speed up the workflow. That's really good to hear. To hear that UI tech is adding even more tools to speed up their process and get more stuff
more
done.
UI tools, please.
Yeah, more UI in order to replace all the bad old UI. We have the star map progressed visually, with the team adding several elements to help with navigation and completing a polish pass. Yeah, they are, adding elements for for usability and polishing it for Squadron 42 right now. So this is not like it's still a year down the road. No, I would be surprised if we don't see it a lot sooner than that. Within the next 4 to 6 months. Alongside concepting visual improvements for various parts of the game, including radial menus, the UI art and design team shifted focus to work on functional UI. Several of the game teams began creating complex screens based on concepts, which were returned to the UI tech team to ensure the interactions look and feel good. They also tweaked some of the crosshairs to improve the combat experience and continued to develop the looks for 2 more manufacturer-specific vehicle UIs. So they already went through Aegis, and now they're working on developing 2 additional manufacturers. I would expect probably Anvil and RSI would be the most likely ones. That is it for UI. Over to you for VFX, the last segment.
I'm busy researching stuff. Sorry, dug into the whole sea a bit. Let's see. VFX. Last month, VFX carried out several C2G particle library conversions, starting with vehicles. This is a quote: "The sheer number of existing libraries combined with the new content being added all the time means it can sometimes be tricky for the team to revisit and update the older libraries. We are getting there, though." Quote by the VFX team. Elsewhere, pre-production began on some new locations, including a huge underground facility and Rocky Cave. A huge underground facility. I wonder where that could be. Let's see. The team also continued with the snag list mentioned last month. While some of this was done in the Alpha 318 workspace, it was continued in staging content when Alpha 318 was locked down in the build-up to release. On the Squadron 42 side, last month continued their work on locations, collaborating closely with art and design. The park library overhaul mentioned in the last month's report was completed, allowing the team to turn their efforts towards making sure all locations benefit from these improvements moving forward. And lastly, elsewhere, the team continued to tweak and refine the new quantum travel effects. This concludes the read-through of the 2-month read. You are now
Very
free
nice.
to roam around the cabin.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we got through it. That was a lot of really good information. I'm definitely going to be rereading those, because I usually try to read each one 3 times, or read our consensus document 3 times, just to make sure that I've appropriately read everything. I didn't miss anything. I get appropriate context. It's part of the critical thinking and critical appraisal of information process. So I'll definitely be doing that over the next couple of days, especially as we get that big roadmap roundup to help put more of this information into context. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is still hanging out in chat and been watching and listening and talking with us. Appreciate you joining us, and I hope that you will join us same bat time, same bat channel on Wednesday, where Nazeris and I will be doing this same thing, but for the Roadmap Roundup, and it should be a big juicy one. We'll be looking at the Roadmap Roundup as well as the Shiny Tracker reports, so we can get all the published updates from RSI, as well as the ones the other changes that you don't necessarily see on the progress tracker via the shinytracker.app. If you haven't used shinytracker.app, I highly recommend you check it out. Start playing around with those reports and using it to basically better correlate the information on the progress tracker and the roadmap. It's a very useful tool. If you have questions about it, feel free to ping Nazeris or I in the Discord, and we'll be happy to walk you through it. It is a bit daunting and confusing when you get started, but it does provide a lot of really good context to Star Citizen's development. A lot more than just the progress tracker by itself, for sure. So yeah, I have to be up early in the morning because kiddo and daycare and all that. And so I will be taking off for the evening. And tomorrow, um, I had planned to do two sessions where I was trying to get supporters to volunteers to join me in the PTU to get some B-roll for my boarding actions video recorded. I was hoping to do two sessions, one at 2 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Eastern, and one at 8 p.m. my time, 10 p.m. Eastern. It looks like I'm only going to be able to maybe do the afternoon one. I might just have to cancel it altogether. My wife is going to be coming home early from work, so we can have some family time before I leave again on Thursday. So I might just have to reschedule it for when I get back from work, but I'll keep you guys updated. But it is still the plan to do a recording session because I as much as I as good as my previous video did, and the B-roll that I got for it, from various things, worked out pretty well. I really want to take it to that next level and include people from the community that we're building here to be a part of the process. And so I want to get some fun, boarding-esque scenes recorded to sort of illustrate the points that I'm going to be talking about. And I wanted to include you guys in the process, because as Nazeris and my partners on Armchair Admirals will say, the content creation is a team effort, and I don't do anything on here by myself. I like to do things by committee, and it's not just Nazeris and I working on the podcast and the podcast segments, and same with the other guys. It's talking to you guys, talking to the community, working together to get information, so we all have a better understanding and get information out there, as well as having fun while we're doing it. So if I can get some good B-roll with the active members of the community, to make it into the next video, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And if you join me, I'll make sure to give you credit in the credits, and we'll think of some little way to reward you guys for being a part of the process. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Nazeris, if you have anything else, feel free to plug your stuff and sign us off.
All right, just as a little tidbit, because Hull C is probably my favorite ship, I did go looking at it. Back in 2015, yes, it was said it is a crawl space. Back in 2017, it got at least 30% bigger.
Aha.
So, is 30% bigger enough to walk? I think it will be. Quote me on that if you'd like. That is my vote. It will be walkable. If I'm wrong, I'll be wrong. If I'm not, we'll be happy.
So crawl, walk, run.
Crawl, walk, run. Yep, that's the one. Where do we sign up to help with the B-roll, Tree?
In my Discord, there. Aether Drift, are you in my Discord? Sorry, I have a hard time keeping track of everybody. Hold on, I will drop link.
Oh, ha 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 ha! I got that first.
How are you so fast?
I don't know.
What? In the there's a thread under Star Citizen discussion called B-roll team, kind of like A team, but it's B-roll team.
Mm-hmm.
But
very cute.
Dad joke.
Yeah.
And that's where the discussion has been going on. And then I have 2 events set up for it. And if I have to make changes to those to reschedule next week, I'll ping everybody in the B-roll team thread, as well as modify the events. I try to do everything in the events section so that way you get little white notifications when things change, beyond just trying to ping everybody. So we'll see if I can get I've got other planning and other stuff that has come up, so I don't think I'm probably gonna have to make changes to my plans tomorrow, but I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, if you just pay attention in there, you'll get all the notifications, and when I reschedule things, you will see when things are planned. My idea was to do at least 2 sessions to try and get multiple cuts, so hopefully, and also to include as many people as possible. So yeah,
I believe you also have the script up there as well, so people could read ahead.
I think I pinned it in there of just things. I had 2 scenes that I wanted to get done. Maybe I didn't pin it in there. I'll scroll back up and I'll pin it. I did put it in there, but I think it's at the top. But yeah, and I will pin that as well. So if you have, so that way, if people have feedback on the scenes that I had wanted to record, they could be like, "Oh, did you think about this? Do you think about that? You know, that sort of thing." Because I'm going to start this. This is going to be a thing. We're going to do it for this video, and we'll talk about, okay, how do we improve this? How do we make it better for the next video? Because the next video after the boarding actions video is going to be on SAR, search and rescue and medical gameplay. And the one after that will be on dropship operations, and planetary landings. So,
ooh, that's going to be fun to do.
Yeah. And so that one is probably going to have to wait until I get back from active duty in June. I have to go away for a few months, and so I'm hoping that some of that atmospheric flight stuff that they've been talking about might be in by then, because that could make things really interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah,
are we going to recreate the Hercules commercial?
Well,
plus Valks.
It's more going to be recreating the Valkyrie commercial, but instead of the slow going like that, it's where I'm going to be practicing my hot drops, and we're going to be doing Tears of Fire hot drops, and people bailing right as we we'll be talking about it more later, but it's going to require some practice. But the maneuver that I want to do, and I want to near perfect, I think will also look pretty cool and cinematic. And so I'm
nice.
I've got some scenes that I want to record for it.
What you need to do is you need to train other people how to do those hot drops so that you can be the camera guy.
Yes,
because you also know the shots you want to get.
Yeah,
so maybe you should start doing some flying courses.
Yeah, I have to learn to do it myself before I can teach other people. But yeah. I have been able to do it, just not consistently. It's difficult, and I need more practice with my sticks. But yeah,
makes sense. All right, on my end, this week we have started streaming on Twitch and YouTube. We have been streaming on YouTube for the past 2 weeks on the new channel. And this week we decided to add in Twitch, which is going very well. It's been a very interactive couple of streams. Tomorrow we will be starting in earnest this time our Stanton Homestead on Daymar on the PTU. So if you have PTU access, I need more pilots to come and help. Basically, we're just going to take all my stuff and drop it somewhere on Daymar. So if you're interested in that, I can get a hold of you, or you can get a hold of me through Tree's Discord, and I can bring over to my Discord where we're going to be hosting it. Basically, I want to be able to throw as much stuff as I can at the planet, and then build a little homestead out of it. Other than that, we have my tutorial how do you get to your ship tutorial being posted tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the morning. Not 8 p.m., 8 a.m. in the morning. And that concludes the first 4 tutorials. I still have to go back and do the slow versions. So these are 1-minute versions of how to get to your ship. So I want to do another slow walkthrough and showing the specific route to get to your ship, to get to the spaceport. After that, we will next week probably be doing the menu. So stay tuned for that. And as well, we'll be keeping up on all news and making news updates for anything that CIG posts. I think that's all I got. So thank you everyone for coming. I think that's everything we got. It has been quite a read through of the monthly report, and we have probably an equally dense read through of the roadmap once that comes out on Wednesday. It has been quite an interesting 2023 so far. I think it's going to get only more interesting from here. But as I do say, thank you everyone for coming. It's been fun. See you all next time, and as always, be kind. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Oh, raid. Oh, sorry. Hey, sorry. We need to raid somebody. I always forget. Oh gosh, I am a bad streamer.
Well, you didn't hit the end button yet, so you're good. You're good.
Yep.
You're good. You're good.
I just hope people haven't left yet. I want to do the right thing. People, the Star Jump rated us, and it's only right that we.
I also
pass.
rated you. Don't even.
Oh yeah, and you rated me at the beginning. Yep, I've received 2 raids in one stream.
Yeah, you did.
Let's see.
That
I always
like
forget.
that's one of the amazing parts about the Star Citizen community. Almost,
gotten-
I've never seen a single end without a raid. So
I've
it's
gotten
just like
so much better about remembering to change the stream information, and now I just have to start reminding myself to do the raid. Does anyone
What are
have
you
any
gonna do when
suggestions
you have
on
to
who we should
leave?
raid?
First Green is up. That's the only Burks is up. That's the only 2 I have followed. Chat got
Burks like BUR. Oh.
BERKS is currently at 321 people.
Oh, Burke Black is up. Let's see. BERK. There we go. We will raid Burks. I wonder what Burks is up to.
It says fake stream, but he's still playing Star Citizen, so I don't know.
All right. Starting the raid. Ready to raid in 2, 1. Raid, and now.
There we go.
Did it go? Did it work? Yep, it worked.
That's a cool raid animation.
Alrighty.